tell you now, I ain't no holy individual, but I am righteous. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna steal from you, I'm not gonna cheat you. I'm gonna tell you the truth, whether you like that or not. That's it.
Pardon my whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep. We good?
All right, we good.
No doubt, no doubt. So yeah, man, yo, I've been watching you for a good minute. You know, you put out a few instrumental projects. You've been putting out like your chronic like albums with different MCs on it. You know what I mean? Where you from?
Right. Yeah, originally I was born in Boston, but yeah, I was born and raised mostly in Boston actually. So I but I lived in Chelsea, which is a part of Boston, like in like it's like the next city over the bridge. And basically, so I was there for like many years. And then I moved out and I branched out to like every part of Boston on my own, just like jumping all over city to city and
Right,
shit.
right, right.
But it was always Boston shit. You know what I mean? I'm there now basically too. So
Right. So when it comes to beats, what got you into making beats? Did you start making beats first, or did you start MCing, or was it DJing?
so what it was I started out with doing beats because yeah I like for MCing and shit, I do that shit on the low. Like I don't really I dabble in it here and there now, but now it's like fully focused on the beats and shit. So but it always been the beats basically. And then that was the first love of mine. I had a boy. His name was his producer name back then was just Biz 20. He wasn't, you know, he's a kid from Massachusetts. He started doing shit on like Fruity Loops and shit. And like this is like way back and like when it started, 2006 maybe. Not even like, you know, Fruity Loops like one, like they don't even call it Fruity Loops no more. It's like FL Studio and shit. But basically around that time, homeboy was like yeah, he was doing shits on Fruity Loops. I was like, yo, how you making them shit? You know what I mean? He was like listening to like Primo and like Gangstar and like influenced by like Ninth Wonder as well and like shit like that at that time because he was popping at that time. You know, he came out with Little Brother and shit. So during that time, my homie Biz was doing shit on that. And I was like, yo, how you doing that shit? Because I didn't know, I didn't have the access. So, but I always had the ideas and I was always like, yo, you know what I mean? What's good with that? I used to try and dabble in like back in the day with cassettes when I was a kid. And I was never like, I didn't know how to do it correctly. I was always doing the pause and record and shit, but I never got to fully finish a beat. And then I just got frustrated. I remember stopping. And then like years later, I hear from this dude. Hmm, pardon me, brother, if you don't
So
mind.
good. So good.
Thank you. But yeah, yeah. I met this dude, and once I figured out how to do that shit, got a laptop, got the got the fucking software somehow. You know, doing back then it was like like LimeWire and all this pirating, like you know what I mean, all that shit. So like stuff shit like that, we would get software and like cool shit for like just to start out, and then it branched into me like yo doing the research. Like I always did research on like Primo, on like all the originators because basically, you know, I wanted to know where the foundation and shit was. So I wanted an MPC and shit for like the longest. First thing I did, I got an MP 2000 XL once I got used to Fruity Loops. So I got bored of it basically, and I was like, I want to expand my shit. So I got a 2000 XL and then started jumping off from there, and you know, and then you know the rest is history. I
Right.
mean, now it's just you know I fucks with the MPC Renaissance and shit 'cause that's just you know doing the job right now. But you know, I fucks with MP Akai heavy basically.
Right.
But
Right.
you know that's part of the story of where it started from and shit. You know.
Yeah. True indeed. True indeed. So when it comes to like samples, what do you really listen to when it comes to samples? What is your main focus? Like, what genre do you really dig into?
Let's see. When it comes to samples, I like I like to mess with stuff that people kind of like are afraid to mess with, just because it's just like I don't know, it it challenges me to want to do something that you know that I probably wouldn't normally want to do, share or nobody else, or so basically I'll like flex with like weird like I like avant-garde albums. I like film scoring shit. I like a lot of soundtracks from like Middle Eastern countries and like stuff like that from like Europe and like Italy. I like what do you call it? I love a lot of new age. 80s new age is
Right.
like something that people don't I mean some people might know about it, but you can't sleep on that shit because there's so much sounds. It's like I'm just a fan of sounds, so I just look for sound because I was always a sonically. I just love the way shit sound. Like I paid attention to shit like on buses. I would listen to like little detail of like squeaking sounds or like weird shit on subways. So it always like resonated with me. I also look for like sounds like as far as like there's like I'll get records with just ambient sounds of like sound effects of different random shit and just put them together somehow like a puzzle, you know what I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
true
try.
indeed. True indeed. So when it comes to sampling, like, are you more so like digging on with vinyl, or do you dig more online nowadays?
I would say actually I mean like I used to dabble with just I used to be let's see I mean I started out digging because that was all I had access to when I started. But then, now it evolved into like vinyl once I had met producer friends that had vinyl and they were just like, yo, you gotta fuck with this sounds like that. So then boom, it went into me getting a vinyl obsession. And then, now it's just like I fucks with pretty much I'll say 90% of the time is vinyl, about 92% of the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to I'll dabble in like I have crates within my hard drives and shit that I keep on the low that I from years of digging and shit and like that like I always got vinyl rips, which is like similar. It's like it's basically like you're getting a vinyl part, you're getting the highest quality of it, which is always something I always search for online. I didn't just get like MP3s or record shit straight from it. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
you want the highest quality possible, and I keep them shits in the stash when I feel like I need some secret shit. You know what I mean?
No
But
doubt, no
that's
doubt.
but I just got the vinyl obsession right now, so it's like 90% that. You know what I mean?
Right, right. So what's the what's like when it comes to buying vinyl, do you go for the
Mm.
dollar crates, or do you don't mind spending a lot of money for records, for or at least one record? What's the most you've ever spent?
Let's see. You know what? I'm usually about most of the time I am a dollar crate digger. I ain't gonna
Me
front,
too.
and and there's no shame in that shit because that's if you go into the right spot, where it's not been heavily hit by say the locals or whatever have you. You go to the right spot, you'll get some gems, you know what I mean, that haven't been touched. Or like especially if you know their schedule. That's something I learned over time. It's like when they restock and all that shit. So then boom, you go in at the right moment and hit the dollar bin and then I'm usually happy most of the time. You know what I mean? So but there has been moments where I'm like, yo, I'll see this shit and like, yo, I know the breaks. I'll remember something, and I'll be like, yo, I know breaks on there. Fucking, excuse my French, are extremely like just perfection, and it's something that you can use more than once in different ways. Then I wouldn't mind paying the extra, whatever. You know what I mean? If it's not like overboard, you
Right,
know.
right.
Yeah.
So are you chopping all the time, or is it mostly looping? What do you prefer, or is it both?
Actually, yeah, it's a good combination of both. Usually how I feel. I mean, I like to chopping is like, yeah, that just like it brings something out where I'm like, yeah, it makes it fun, you know what I mean? So, but looping also when I'll loop like minor little small ass chops and shit. So that's the fun part. Like, it's you can incorporate both aspects and shit.
Right.
I
Yeah.
fucks I fucks with chopping most of the time because it's always been a part of how I did it. Ever since like Fruity Loops days, I used to use the FL slicer, whatever that shit was called, and then that
Yeah.
shit was like, that shit was beautiful for me back then because yeah, that was my way of chopping it without having the MP and all that until I got it.
Right.
But yeah, that shit was cool. That's how.
Gotcha. So when it comes to drums, like where are you getting your drums from? Do you deal with like sample packs that you buy, or are you finding drums on vinyl or offline? How are you getting your drums?
So yeah, most of the time it's like I'll find I over the years I've accumulated records where I found nice ass drum breaks where it's like all it takes is like even if it's a split second, whatever, I always chop them shits up and just like threw them in a folder.
Right.
So I build up a folder over time of like little vinyl breaks because I know that the I know with those there's like a certain sound that you could always have and and use it many different times as long as you're able to manipulate it in different ways. So I felt like that would be something to save. I always chopped up and built it up over time. So yeah, I just accumulated mad shit from vinyl. But I'm not opposed to like I like using my cassette deck as well.
Mhm.
And sometimes I I'll have like I'll have sample packs. I have a couple sample packs that like go way back from like damn, I think it was like the MPC 3000 and shit.
Wow.
But I yeah, like I forgot my homie passed me like some shit that he burned for me years ago, but like those sounds were so good. And like when you can do that, use some of those, right, and run them through a cassette thing, record straight into that and my cassette deck has a compressor and shit, so it has like it kind of it does some fucking beautiful shit to it. So sometimes I'll do that and then run the drums. I'll do my own drums on the MP and then I'll record myself onto the cassette deck. So then I have my own drum break that I can use
Right.
to chop up.
And
You know what I
speaking of
mean?
drum breaks, do you ever just loop up a drum break that you hear? Or do you always have to figure you have to chop it up?
There's been maybe a couple moments where I was like, yo, this is so beautiful that, I don't really like, I don't want to mess it up to the point where it's already good as it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's some of those. And then, for the most part though, most of them are chops. Yeah. Cause when I catch myself, like, I don't know if I get too loopy with it, like where like I don't want to be repetitive looper because then I'll get too comfortable with
Right.
shit. You know what I mean? So I just like, I'll be like, hold on, let me just put in a little more effort for me,
Right.
just to make it sound slightly different, I guess.
Gotcha. Now with quantization, do you quantize or do you have the quantization off when it's time to bang out the drums? What do you prefer?
I turn off the quantize definitely when I'm
Why is that?
well because yeah, it gives me my own like natural flow as far as like when I'm hitting shit. Like I want my whatever rhythm I'm having in my body, whatever I'm like when I got the head nod, I know what the feeling is. To fully express it properly, you can't get that. I don't want that stiffness that you know, Quantize does. It doesn't give me that flow. I want people to feel whatever I'm feeling. So therefore, I turn that shit off. I'll turn it on maybe like if I'm like looping or chopping a sample or like even that. That's like very rare cases, but for the most part, I keep it off just because I want it to sound as natural as possible. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's really what I try to aim for too.
Right. So like when you bang out your drums, do you just bang the kick first and the snare next one at a time, or is it boom at the same time and then add the hi-hat?
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah, I'm a beat maker. This is strictly for my diggers. So I'm not a regular just journalist. This is beat science we talking. Up and coming producers want to know this.
I like that. I like that. I can appreciate it. Word. That's dope. So yeah, I mean, when I'm doing it, right? So I usually, my process is like I'll do whatchamacallit. Sometimes I'll lay my hats first, right? I'll do that because I get to get that groove going where I'm like, it lays the foundation for what I can do. And it frees up my extra finger. So when I'm hitting the kick and the drum, I'm able to do it at a precise, you know, moment without quantization. So then it, you know, hits properly. So say that I'll get that vibe going with the hats, boom, start it out, and then I'll jump in with my kick and snare just to make sure that, like, you know, timing is good for me and it lets me vibe comfortably, you know what I mean, without worrying about, you know what I mean? So then, but all of these, like, it's just I'll do that in layers. Or if I want to add multiple snares or multiple hats or whatever, I layer it up.
Right.
And then, you know what I mean? I'll do that. And then add another process to it, I guess, you know, just to layer, make it sound more complete or full, whatever have you.
So you stack your drums?
Yeah, for the most part, I do. Yeah, I'll throw like hidden drums in there that like subtle, that beef up the main one just to make sure it's like whatever, you know, it gives it that oomph, that something that may be lacking, but it has that, you know, it needs just that little whatever.
Right.
So yeah, I'll do that underneath it, or you know what I mean, give like like a filter on one of them just to, like, you know, whatever, disguise some shit, and then make it sound like one complete new sound, I guess. That's all, you know.
Gotcha. So my next question is like, when you start a beat, like, what do you set your bars to? Is it you start with a 2-bar loop, 4-bar loop, 8-bar loop when it's, you know, time to make a beat? What do you start with?
Yeah, so me actually, most of the time it's actually an 8-bar loop, interestingly enough. And sometimes I'll go to 16-bar loops, just like if I know, maybe if it's for catering for like an MC or some shit.
Right.
But I want them, I like it to, I don't want it to be very loopy. So I'll do a 16-bar loop maybe for each hook. And then and I'll play the whole thing out, maybe possibly. Like I'll let the drums maybe do their own thing.
You just muted yourself. Unmute yourself.
Hello?
There we go.
Right now?
All right.
Shit, hold on.
Turn your volume up.
You can hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
All right, where's my fault? Yeah, so maybe I should turn this off so I can get anything. I know it's gonna continue to happen. Hold on a second. My phone, just to make sure I don't want to get interrupted. There you go. All right. You can still hear me, right?
Yep, hear you loud and clear. So the question was like, when you start your sequencing, you start 2-bar, 4-bar, 8-bar. You're saying you do 16 bars for the most part.
Oh, right, yeah. So basically when I'm doing that, like I'll cater to MC or something. a 16 bar would give me the time to basically do I'll set up the first loop or whatever, and then I'm able to build on that and progress it and switch it as it goes along. But I'm also recording as I'll record my whole chops as I do the whole 16 bar just to make them sound different as each time. So then it sounds, like a song progressing, but more so it's just me kind of like manipulating chops to the point where it sounds like that, and I'm not doing it in a repetitive way. I'm doing the whole 16 bar thing. So it sounds more like a song, I guess, if that makes sense.
Right.
But that's that's usually when I'm like trying to, like an MC wants like something that's like, they want to write something, a certain storyline, a certain whatever too. So I'll do that, okay, like for the most part. But I do like my 8-bar loops mostly too, because it allows me to switch it, and I'll do another 8-bar loop completely different, whatever, and then mash them together. I like those as well. Those are like fun for me. So yeah, that's what I'm at.
Right. So I noticed like your samples have such a cinematic feel. How do you avoid, like when you put out projects, do you avoid sample first, or are you clearing samples? That's if you want to answer that question.
I'm so sorry, bro. I missed a lot. I missed the
You
question.
sound like there's an echo too.
There's an echo on my thing.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is it still echoing?
Yeah, a little bit. Have you on speaker?
Yeah, maybe. All
right, let's try it now. It's still there, but we'll work with it. But what I was saying is like your samples have your beats have such a cinematic feel. And I was just wondering, like, when it comes to sampling, if you want to answer this, do you clear samples? And if you don't, how do you avoid that?
So yeah, I mean, for the most part, I don't actually go and get samples cleared, because I try to, I guess, I don't have that access at the moment, but I have been handed a certain, let's say, I've been gifted a certain folder that a certain producer.
Can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Hold on a sec. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, my fault. So yeah, it seems like I don't know. My mother is actually blowing up my phone right now.
Oh, okay.
But damn, I don't want to stop where I'm at, because I was on the constant stream. I don't know how this works. Let me see. She's probably gonna she's probably gonna keep calling me. Just to be honest, I have the do not disturb on, and I don't know how that got through.
Yeah.
But continue. All right, let's continue on. My fault, bro. So the question was
clearing samples. Do you clear samples?
Oh yes. My last thing I was saying was that I have access to a folder that a certain producer has that our samples are cleared, and I'm able to use them. I don't want to name the producer, but a lot of people know who he is as well. He's very well known, but I was fortunate enough to come into this folder, so I can do that if I wanted to, and they're all fine, and I have a few beats actually like out there, like as far as like on, I think the ones that are like on the streaming sites, those are the ones that are like fully cleared, and you know what I mean? So
right.
Those, you know what I mean? I'll dabble in those whenever I need to do some like official, you know what I mean? But right now I'm still like very underground, to the point where, yeah, it's like it's not the biggest of my concern to like try to find, sample clarity as far as that,
Mm,
you know.
gotcha. So what's next for EVILLDEWER? What do you have in the future?
You said what's next?
Yes.
Well, all right. Right now, I mean, I'm dropping my probably in a couple of days, I'll be dropping my album. It is called Phantasmagoria, and it is a collection, not even a collection. It's just my ideas as far as like what, um, like I've been into like a lot of cinematic, like 70s films and like old avant-garde horror films and stuff like that. So it's kind of like my form of expression owed to that, because I appreciate it, because I'm also trying to do, there's also a film that's going to be linked to it. I mean, the film is going to take a little longer. It's going to come after the album, but it's going to be like a mini film basically, which the album is going to be used as a score to that. You know what I mean? So I'm going to aim to try to do that, and like have it like eventually it's going to be a package deal. But right now, focusing on the music, the album's going to be dropping very soon. Phantasmagoria has a lot of has a few, a few dope MCs on there. It's going to be 50, I'll say 50, maybe 60, 60, 40, 60% MCs, 40% beats. You know what I mean? So like, you're still going to get a lot of instrumentals and shit, of course. I mean, and within the mix of everything, it's just going to be something that's like a story. I like the music to be like a storyline. So, when people hear it, so they hear it as well. It's like the way it works in my mind. It's like it plays out like a movie. So hopefully it comes out that way for the listener. You know what I mean?
All right. Yo, salute to you. Thank you for taking time out your busy schedule to chop it up with me. This is strictly for you. You got Eagle Tour.
I appreciate you, man.
Definitely. So we'll definitely keep in touch.
Word, man. Yeah, definitely, man. Anytime you need me, whatever you want to do, whatever have you, definitely hit me. I'll be available whenever. I got you.
All right, thanks a lot. Salute.
Thank you. Salute. Peace. Much love.
I'm gonna tell you now, I ain't no holy individual, but I am righteous. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna steal from you, I'm not gonna cheat you. I'm gonna tell you